All right, hope everyone is doing well. Today I want to go over and review how you set up your Garmin GPS. And this is a Garmin GPS MAP 67 or 67. You'll see it's pretty standard run-of-the-mill GPS unit. Unfortunately, at least in my opinion, all of the batteries now in most of these units are solid state, so they're built in. So you have to be really diligent about making sure you charge your unit after every use. And you do so right here. There's a USB-C port. You can charge there, and you can get data from there as well. On this side, you can actually put an SD mini card in there, which is nice for if you have maps that you pay for, upgraded maps, or just saving your tracks to it. I just suggest that in case for some reason this unit no longer works. It go through a lot of everything. We put them through a lot in the elements. So that having that SD card just kind of, for me, gives you an extra layer of insurance. So let's go ahead and turn it on. The on button is right here at the top. And we'll wait for that to power on. It takes a little bit of a second. But I like these units because it has these actual physical buttons here, and so I like that tactileness. So I'm going to go ahead or hit this menu button here twice. All right, and we're just going to walk through the setup of it. So the first thing we're going to do is just go to setup and go to your system here and just make sure you've got English and these other things. If you want to change satellite, if you want to go to a multi-band, you can do that here. Right now, I think with everything that's going on, particularly with the war in Ukraine, the Russian GLONASS system is not as reliable. Some of the other systems like Galileo and the EU are definitely becoming much more reliable, but I just stick with GPS. We'll talk about that in a separate video altogether. So we'll just get out of this, and then the next thing we want to go down and just kind of use this little center button here to toggle down. We'll go over to position format. Again, in this another video, we'll talk about the particulars of why these are important and what we're going to do here. But this position format should say U.S. National Grid or USNG. If it doesn't, just hit enter over there and you can just scroll around. Generally, these are in somewhat alphabetical order, and make sure that says U.S. National Grid. Same thing with map datum. You want WGS 84. Again, these are generally in alphabetical order. And the spheroid also needs to be in WGS 84. So there we go. That is tied to your map datum, so you don't have the option to change that. So we're just going to quit out of here. The next thing you want to go to is units, and this is something that's going to come down to what your preference is. But for me, and because we're using U.S. National Grid, it makes the most sense to have speed and distance in metric. It's also what we're teaching. Elevation and vertical speed, we're still using feet because, again, the contours on our maps are in feet, right? So temperature, Fahrenheit, yes. We'll just click all out of that. Now, the next thing we want to get to is saving a track. So let's just quit all out of this, and we're going to hit menu. We're going to hit twice again, and we're going to go down to recording controls. And right here, it's constantly recording a track. Unless you hit this stop button, it's always going to be recording whenever you have this on. So before you start a task, you want to go down and you want to save this. At least you want to either save the track that you have, maybe it's important, or you just discard it. You know, it's worthless. But you go ahead and save. You can change the name if you just punch up here. I suggest saving it to your call sign. And this can be a little bit cumbersome, but I've had a lot of practice, and maybe you can too. So we'll just do this really quickly. CSD3, 4. just go down here and hit done and hit save. See, it didn't really take a whole lot of time. So now you have that. So just make sure you repeat that process after you have completed your task. Again, hit menu twice, and it's going to take you to the screen and go over to recording controls, and then you'll hit save. It's not going to let me save it because it hasn't really laid a track. The next thing I want to talk about is mark, how to mark a point. So let's just quit out of here, go back to the map, and now we're going to hit mark. So in this, again, we can rename this mark. We can change it to, say, let's just say we found a hat. All right, and now we have it saved as a hat. We can go back and look at that. Again, you hit menu twice, reoccurring theme, and you scroll over here to waypoint manager, and you can see hat in there. And you can click on that, and you can say, let's view it on the map. And you can go to it or whatever you need to do. So that's generally it for this one particular video. We'll talk some more about once you have tracks on here and waypoints, how do you get them off of there and what to do with them. All right, take care.